lovely Saturday morning in West Tennessee, around West Tennessee, and around the globe. Those of you looking at us this morning on Facebook Live, y'all.com, News Talk West Tennessee, and News Talk Jackson. We're all out there. We're everywhere. We're everywhere. This is Tricks of the Trade with John Allen, honeydew specialist. Hey, John, what's up?
Doing all right, Jim. How about you? Everything going well this morning?
Yeah, now they got the right button push.
That's right. I've had a lot of people wanting to turn me off, so that's all right.
See, I haven't learned how to. The morning guys went to school long after I did.
Yeah.
But when I was in school, I learned to count 1, 2, 3, 4. Kind of left to right like a thing.
Uh-huh.
But now it's 1, 2, 4, 3, 5. If you're looking for the proper microphone.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. So you're actually. I got you now.
Well, I've decided then you could solve a world problem right now.
I doubt it, but go ahead.
But, if you had been in charge of the board of the microphones during all these debates we've been having, I could have told people, if you want somebody to shut up, just turn their mic off.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
Absolutely.
But that's too simple an answer.
That's too easy, and I guess that is considered bad form. Bad form, Pan.
Bad form was listening to all that garbage.
Ain't that the truth? Twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still think there'll be a third time.
I don't know. They've said no now. They both have said no now. So there will be another. There's another one scheduled. I think it's supposed to be in Nashville.
Yeah, Belmont.
Yeah, at Belmont. Yeah, later in the month. So I don't know. Who cares?
I mean, I felt like I was having to separate my kids there for a while.
It looked like
it brought back a lot of memories.
Yeah, it sure did.
But that's all right.
This is Tricks of the Trade on this Saturday morning on 93.1 wtjs-fm. And the number to call to talk to John this morning, whatever problems you may have, is 731-891-6161. Or the Victory Honda text line is open, 731-410-7560. And as I said, we're on Facebook Live, y'all.com, and News Talk West Tennessee, News Talk Jackson. You can get it anywhere you want to go and listen to us on a stream if you're not watching on TuneIn Radio.
That's something. I mean,
we're everywhere, man. It's
crazy.
It's
all right. It's all right. It's a lot of fun, though. We just get up here and get to carrying on. And, my biggest deal right now is try to keep from falling off this rickety stool.
It's not that you'll fall off of it. It will just disappear from under you.
The fact that we have video.
Uh-huh.
During this show, I want to step over here and I want to show this chair that's in pieces, that's wrapped up in duct tape. It would be... it's a sight to behold.
I bet it is. We text here says we have interference from 101.5, and
I hear a little racket in the background.
Yeah, it is there. I don't know where that's coming from. Let me check here.
Uh-oh. Maybe the rain got in the line.
Let's see that stool.
Yeah, take a look at the stool over there.
We're gonna pick up a stool. I'm gonna step away here for a second.
Okay. John's looking for the stool. Thank you, Texter. Appreciate that. We're trying to track that down.
Now this is quality stuff, folks. This is what we have to deal with up here. Uh-oh, I broke it apart even more.
You killed the dead stool. I tell you what we're going to have to do.
It's a goner.
All right, I tell you what we're going to have to do right quick. We're going to have to take a quick commercial break because we are definitely being covered up by our sister station over there, and I'm not able to shut that part of it down for some reason. So hang in there with us. We'll be right back on Tricks of the Trade.
We try to make it a different way to wake up in Jackson and West Tennessee every day, Monday through Friday from 6 until 9 a.m. It's Blue Suede Forever, live from the Dixie Cafe and the Old Country Store on the Talk of Jackson. Dedicated to the premise that from New Orleans to Muscle Shoals to Memphis up to Nashville to Bristol, Tennessee, all the pop music of the world came from right through here. We play it, we talk about what's happening in our world, we try to get your day off to a positive start. Join us, Blue Suede Forever, Monday through Friday, 6 till 9 a.m. at the Talk of Jackson.
This is WTJS, Alamo, Jackson, and WKBL, Covington, News Talk West Tennessee.
Hi, I'm Kathy Ursery. Retirement brought on many transitional changes, including selling my home. Living in the Lambeth area neighborhood in Midtown, I wanted a realtor who could communicate to potential buyers the value and passion I placed on my 1920s home. I wanted someone to enjoy my home and the Atlanta area as much as I did. How fortunate I was to run into Brad Greer and mention I was considering selling my home. By mid-May, Brad had sold my house at a price I wanted with a cash offer. I found out why Brad Greer is known as Jackson's real estate resident expert. Personally, I highly recommend Brad to sell or buy your home. He is hands-on, very passionate, skilled, and professional. How many realtors climb on your roof for you, offer paint color recommendations, and are on call 24/7.
I'm Brad Greer with Greer Real Estate Group. Jen, John, and the other agents at Greer Real Estate Group don't do family planning, but we do know how to help people with buying or selling a house. Give Greer Real Estate Group a call at 300-4100 and let us show you why our clients refer us to their friends.
Here at Jackson Off-Road, we are a complete automotive service center that does work on area business fleets, servicing and repairing both diesel and gas engines. Our experienced technicians and advanced technology will upgrade your company's vehicle's performance, saving you significant dollars. Green Snack Food said, Jackson Off-Road keeps our fleet of vehicles on the road in a timely manner, regardless of what repairs are required or what time of the day or night we call for service or repair. Jackson Off-Road, online and on the 45 bypass.
This is WTJS, Alamo, Jackson, and WKBL, Covington, News Talk, West Tennessee.
I don't feel like I'm 23 anymore. Lack of energy during the day, difficulty sleeping, reduced mental focus and memory, weight gain, including belly fats, reduced sexual desire, and performance. Studies show after the age of 30, most people produce 3 to 10% less hormones each year, and I felt it. I decided to do something about it. But I didn't want 152 shots of synthetic testosterone per year. What I discovered is changing my life. All testosterone replacement is not the same. Hormone pellets contain the same chemical structure as your body's natural hormones. They're placed under the skin and release bioidentical testosterone consistently to the bloodstream and last up to 6 months. Same thing with estrogen for females. I feel great. I don't want you to waste it on the young. I want it wasted on me. Feeling better for you can start with a simple phone call.
Dr. Shannon Long in Advanced Rehab and Medical. It's 731-503-4277. That's 503-4277. Call today. 731-503-4277. You'll be glad you did.
No matter what size, every business is unique and driven to improve results. What's right for one might not be right for you. It all depends on your business and your goals. Trying to grow revenue, focused on cutting costs, or simply need a better way to get work done? XMC, your Xerox authorized sales agent, can help. We offer exceptional Xerox products and are proud to provide cost-effective office equipment and electronic document management. Visit xmcinc.com and allow XMC to help boost productivity, enhance collaboration, and reduce costs at your office.
Well, we're still dealing with a ghost signal on top of us. It appears to be our sister station 101.5. We have alerted the engineers because we've pushed everything we can push here in our location, and we're still getting overridden. You might try Facebook Live if you're a Facebook person. Just go to y'all.com on Facebook and go to live, and we should be on there, and we're checking to make sure that signal is clear. Apparently what's coming out of our board here is good. There's something in the connection between the two stations, possibly from simulcasting football last night, but we will do the best we can do with what we got in the meantime. John Allen's tricks of the trade hopefully is the stronger of the two sounds you're hearing right now.
Well, I'll talk louder and it'll be just like the presidential debate. Everybody's talking at the same time.
I think we may have gotten it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, whatever that was, I'm glad they got it fixed.
There you go. Texters, thank you so much for letting us know that. Just to give you a quick rundown of why we don't know it and you do, is there is a feed from our board here at the Old Country Store, which is what we hear in our headsets. And there is the on-air feed, which we don't hear unless we're alerted to it and turn that switch on. So I appreciate that. Any time you're listening to 93.1 or 101.5 and you hear a problem, don't hesitate to text, because we need to know it so we can get it fixed for us and get it fixed for you.
I wonder, is it possible that the aroma of country ham and sausage and all that could get in with the signals?
Yeah, it does make me gnaw on wires from time to time.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, because it's very distracting. Y'all come on out and eat breakfast out here, and you can watch us babble up here till 9 o'clock and kind of go from there. But we got lots of things we can talk about this morning.
Yeah, this texter says that was kind of hard to figure out. I was trying to listen to y'all and them too, and it's like two people talking on the phone. Yeah, as John says, it's kind of like a presidential debate.
That's right. At the same time. Let the louder one dominate.
Well, thank you, texters. We appreciate that. Then the text line is open, and I'm about to reopen the phone line, which is 731-891-6161. You can call us there. Give me about 2 minutes to get that taken care of. And what are we going to talk about today? What do we need to fix?
We're going to jump all over the board today.
Well, we always.
It's raining outside, or at least
is it ever?
It was, and so little preventive care if you have the chance. Step outside your house or look out the window and look up at your gutters and see if the water coming off the roof is running out the bottom of your gutters or behind it.
Good.
And if that happens, you need to get that taken care of before winter sets in, and get those gutters cleaned out and make sure that your gutters are up tight against your fascia board. And by doing that, you'll keep a lot of rot from happening. So do that, and then while you're at it, go ahead and take your garden hose off of your outside faucet like I keep telling you. And I will tell you every week until after the first good hard freeze. And then close those vents. And I've said that before, but it's time to do that. Close it up and get ready for winter. I was sitting around the other night in my little outdoor pavilion that I made for myself and munching on some Fritos and an adult beverage, and sitting there, and someone gave me a little hint. And Jim, I bet you didn't know this, but I like Fritos. I can't help it. But I found another use for them the other night, and that was, if you want to start a fire in your little fire pit or whatever, or you probably use this camping. Everybody's got Fritos when they're camping. You can strike a match to a Frito and throw it in there, and it will start a fire.
Are you serious?
It's like a starter.
So you don't lay your Frito bag near the stove then?
That's right. I always thought it was cute getting the lint out of your dryer and stuffing it into a toilet paper cardboard roll thing.
That's a great idea.
And that was a good fire starter, but I never used Fritos. But you can start your fire with Fritos now,
cool.
In case you ever needed to.
I love Fritos too, but I've never tried to rub two of them together to start a campfire. I mean, that is crazy. Well, it makes sense. I mean, they are cooked in oil,
Yeah.
And, so you basically start an oil fire with your Fritos.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But now when you used to grill out, now everything nowadays is push button.
That's right.
And by the way, my little push button on my super duper digital disco grill in my backyard, my propane grill, my little button that fires the fire up is busted.
Uh-oh.
I changed the battery in it and it still don't work, so I don't know what that means. I guess my is gone.
Yeah. Don't you hate it when that happens?
I do. But anyway, I've been actually using a stick match to light my grill with, which I kind of like. It's not a bad thing at all.
It's like the Stone Age stuff, but it still works.
But when we were back in the dark ages, we had nothing but charcoal to work with out in the backyard.
Right.
And you got you some Kingsford briquettes.
That's right.
And poured them in the little bucket there. What did you use to start your fires with?
Newspaper, lighter fluid.
Yeah, lighter fluid.
Yeah.
So you went down the right track. I shouldn't tell this, but bless his soul, my dad's been gone for a long time, so he won't mind. But he liked to get the show on the road pretty much.
Oh.
So he'd load that thing up with charcoal, and then he'd walk over to the shed and get the gasoline can for the lawnmower and douse it pretty good, and step back about 4 or 5 feet and throw a stick match in there. And son, I mean, we had burning charcoal instantly.
Exactly right.
Then somebody told him later on, said, well, you better let that burn for a while to let all that lead burn. I know your burgers are going to have lead in them. So it
may be wrong. What's wrong with my joints right now?
What's wrong with your joints? Same thing is wrong with my joints. They've been used too long.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, well, that's just part of it. But, yeah, that was I never tried that. I was a lighter fluid man myself. Did you ever use the chimneys, where you put the paper and stuff in the little metal chimney and then shake it out?
My son does that did that.
Yeah, mine too.
But I never owned one of those. And to me, that was just a waste of resources. Kind of like them little styrofoam things on your faucet outside.
I knew that was coming.
It's just like, just wad up some newspaper.
Yeah.
What else are you going to use it for? And just, they always got newspaper laying around.
Have you been talking to my granddaughters, by the way?
Not lately, but
well, I thought about you yesterday because we were out playing in the yard, and one of them decided she needed to get some water for the dog. So she went over to the spigot on the south side of the house and took my styrofoam cover off.
Oh my!
I said, John been working on her.
We'll have a talk. Bring her to church and we'll have a little sermon.
That's right. Oh, me. Listen to Tricks of the Trade. It is 731-891-6161 on the telephone line. Text 410-7560. And that's how you get in. So I would imagine folks got honeydews today. They're going to be working inside the house.
Yeah, they are. And I'm going to tell you about a little something, and then we're going to jump to about a half a dozen other things.
Okay.
But I was in a house this week that the water had been off for a long time. It's one of these houses that, somebody kind of expired in there, and they've been vacant for a long, long time.
Right.
And now they're getting ready to sell stuff. So they go in there, and we turn the water on for the first time. Older home, built back in the probably in the 60s. Not that old house, but quite a few. And you talking about rusty water. Rusty water was coming out everywhere. And I'm not talking about out of the faucet. I mean, it's coming out of the ceiling, the walls, because the pipes had frozen in the wall and burst the pipes. But once we got all the repairs done, and what I'm leading up to is a lot of people out there that are going to be changing out faucets. They just, sometimes nothing wrong with the old faucet. You just want one different color, different style.
Yep.
They'll thoroughly confuse you with faucets. Now there's so many things to choose from. And these new faucets, as nice as they are, sometimes they're hard to get them to work on old plumbing systems. Because let's say you've got an old galvanized pipe, stuff like that, and say the water's been off for a while, or the fact that you just hadn't used those lines in a long time, and that rust and sediment that's inside of them decides to turn loose because you've cut the water off and then you're going to cut it back on.
Right.
All that stuff in these modern faucets they have out now, all it takes is just a little bitty, teeny tiny, insignificant nothing to clog up a new toilet. A new faucet. Yeah, and a toilet too. But anyway, the situation is when you put a new faucet in, and I tell this to everybody, whether it's a kitchen faucet or a bathroom faucet, before you turn the water back on, unscrew that little aerator out of the spout, because that's what always gets clogged up with stuff, and it diminishes the flow of your water. So unscrew it. And when you turn it on wide open and let it flush out and get what little bit of sediment, if any, let it blow on through. If you go in there real slow or you leave that aerator in, it will stop and clog up and cause you more problems. And we've had some situations where a perfectly good, brand new, spanking right out of the box faucet gets clogged up from the sediment that flows through the pipes. And you talking about trouble, trying to get one unclogged is rather difficult. So let that stuff flush on through. You have a lot of problems like that with well water, unfortunately. City, we're not too bad a shape, except you try to do one right after the guys have flushed all the water lines out at the water hydrants out there. They'll stir it up sometime.
Shakes things loose, don't it?
Yeah, but they do that for a reason, to get that stuff out of there.
Right.
But so it's not a bad thing to do that. But just be careful with all that foreign stuff that is in your pipes. Good thing about plastic pipes and copper pipes, you don't have to fool with that much. But the old galvanized, and there is a lot of that still out there. And speaking of that, tell you what I'm talking about. Brand new house.
Yeah.
well, 2 years old. They had a guest bathroom. They very seldom used it.
Mm-hmm.
But when sometimes one of the kids would come in and they'd go to the bathtub and they'd turn it on for the first time, and rusty water would come out. And but then it would clear up.
Yeah.
And they went out and they flushed out their water heater and drained it down and filled it up. Everything was fine. And then it set for a while. They go turn on the tub, and a little bit of rusty water come out right in the beginning. Wouldn't happen in any other faucet in the house, just the bathtub.
Ooh, that's
and
different.
so I went to one of those, and the lady was just totally perplexed. Brand new house and all this, and I said, well, I need you to clean your closet out for just a minute because I need to get to that access hole. And she looked at me like one of those do-what moments, and so they got everything cleaned out because they had a lot of stuff in there that I didn't want to touch, to tell you the truth. But anyway,
there you go.
I opened up the little trap door and I looked inside and I said, I know what your problem is with the rusty water. And boy, she looked at me like, you got to be out of your mind. How can you look at that and see that? But if you look at the back side of the faucet, which is what I was looking at in that access hole,
Mm-hmm.
I saw that from the faucet down to the spout was done in a galvanized pipe. And galvanized will get that little bit of rust.
Yeah.
And you know, with a tub faucet, when you turn the water off, there's no water in that pipe until you turn it back on. So it'll rust up a little bit on the inside,
Right.
and then you flush it out. Now, if you did that in black pipe, like a gas pipe, you wouldn't have to worry about that. But this was done in galvanized, so that's where her rusty water came from.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that.
Yep.
Hadn't thought about that. I want to. We got a text coming in now. Let me. I want to go back to the to taking the little filters out of your faucets in a minute. So don't let me forget that. I got a question for you.
All right.
Okay. Texter says, "Good morning, John. Is it possible to effectively fix an old cast tub when rust is starting around the drain? Should it be removed before bigger trouble starts? Thank you."
Rust on the tub or rust on the drain assembly there?
It says old cast tub when rust is starting around the drain.
All right. First of all, the thing I'd do first is go and see
Says
if
the tub.
the tub. Go and see if you can find you some navel jelly. Yeah, don't be looking down there, Jim. You'll be getting the lint out at commercial break.
It's going to take longer than that.
Get a coat hanger out. Anyway, navel jelly is real good about dissolving that rust. There's also a product called Brasso that's in a little can that you can put on there, or CLR will work pretty good, and that cleans up deposits. But if you'll put a generous coating on that and then take off, it may take the stain out. Now, if you're already through the finish,
Yeah.
then you got bigger problems, because you will at that point. I would have the tub refinished. Don't replace it.
I was going to ask you if it wasn't too deep into the metal, could it be repaired and then refinished?
Oh,
But
yeah,
probably
yeah.
could, huh?
There's big business in refinishing bathtubs.
Oh yeah,
if
because
you
a lot
do
of
it,
people like the old style tub still. You know?
if you do it right. Now, these little kits that they sell you in the store to tell you to paint your bathtub,
Uh-huh.
now that's just dumb. It doesn't work.
That's why they keep those on aisle D.
Yeah. It's funny that what people will fall for, but I've seen many people go to get these little kits, and they will literally paint their bathtub.
Right.
And then the first time they fill it up and it dries out, you can reach down and grab that paint by the corner and peel it out just like a cellophane bag.
Go drape it over something
Yeah,
else.
I mean, to effectively refinish that bathtub, you're going to have to sand it down. You're going to have to acid wash it. You're going to have to get, it needs to be done by the pros in an extremely well ventilated area.
Oh yeah.
But when you get done with it, it looks like a brand new bathtub.
Do they go back in there and put a new porcelain finish on it? Is that what they do?
Yeah,
is it different?
it's sprayed on.
Yeah.
But it looks just right out of the box new. And, I'd much rather go in there and refinish a bathtub for, say, $600 than had going in and trying to tear one out and put another one and spend $2,000 or $3,000.
Yeah.
And with all the other stuff that goes along with it, and those tubs are not cheap anymore.
No, they're not. No, they are
and,
not.
But if I had an old cast iron bathtub in my house, I'd do everything I could to keep it because they just don't make a replacement for that's as good as the original.
Right. This quick text right here, and then we got another one right behind it. This one goes back to the navel jelly comment, and you said quit looking down, and the texter says nope, don't have any. Oh, thanks, sister. I appreciate that. I needed that right now.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one for you, John. It says, maybe you can help me figure this out. On a washer and dryer, the dryer that I have has steam so that I can,
wrinkle release.
Yeah. So can I, there we go. I'll get it right in a minute. Has steam. So can I tee off of the hot water that goes to the washer? Can I make it run to the dryer on the hot water side?
Yeah, you can do it on the hot or the cold.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is unless you've got a circulating hot water system, if you tee into the hot water line, the water's not going to be hot anyway. It's just going to use just a mist of water for just a short amount of time, like 10 seconds, and then it's off. And hot water will not have time to get there, of course. So it really doesn't make a difference if you go hot or cold.
So the steam part of that thing has its own quick heater.
Yeah.
Yeah, instant heat thing. Yeah.
It blowing in water or a mist on top of clothes that are drying.
Yeah.
Now, you see, growing up, I have to go back to all this stuff.
Why not?
Daddy had an RC bottle, RC Cola bottle, and had a thing and a stopper in the end of it.
I can see it.
Yeah. It had a little cork, and it had, you would shake it, and that was your mister.
Yeah.
And he took the clothes out of the dryer, about half dried, and then he shook it on there and rolled them up, put them in the back in the clothes basket, and we drove them over to 115 Middleton Street, and Liza ironed them.
Whoa.
Well, yeah, that's what happened because, ironing gets time consuming.
Yes, it can.
And for $1.50 a basket, you get all your shirts and drawers ironed. And I think I still got that RC bottle.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Now, the cork may be a little disintegrated.
I honestly, when you said that, I could see it because we had one too.
Yeah, everybody did.
Remember, yeah. I don't remember what drink the RC, whether it was an RC or a Dr. Pepper, but but it had a little cork and it kind of flared out like a mushroom.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It had little pinholes in the top of it.
Right.
And you just shook it and the water come out.
Absolutely. That was before steam irons.
Now, if you put that in front of a millennial right now, what do you think they'd do with it?
Cry. I don't know.
They'd probably turn it up and say, this thing's got, this stopper's got a leak in it.
That's right. This won't.
They'll be trying to put their wine in it or something.
Yeah, right. And the wine's going to go flat because it's got holes in it. You're right. Thank you, Texas. That was a great question. I've seen those advertised, the ones with the steam things in there to get the wrinkles out in there, which would be kind of handy, I think, But maybe I can talk my wife into the next one if we ever have to replace ours again. And then we will because they don't last as long as they used to.
No, they won't.
We got one when we bought our new washer, clothes washer. It's been 5-7 years ago. We talked ourselves into getting one of those whoop-de-doo that's supposed to do it quicker and better and faster and quieter.
And it don't.
When that thing goes on to a spin cycle, it sounds like a 747's taking off out of the driveway. I mean, it spins so hard that the thing walks across the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets to vibrating against the dryer, and it'll drive the dog crazy. Another white coat special.
Exactly. Once everything gets, I got one of those fancy washing machines too, and it's funny. We used to, you typically when Kath and I first got married, we had a washing machine, and it was 30 minutes to wash a load of clothes.
Right.
It took an hour to dry 'em. So I'd have 2 loads of wash, but only one dryer.
Right.
Hence, we ended up getting a second dryer.
Ooh.
so we could keep caught up with it, because the clothes was about head high, raising 3 boys.
With 3 boys there.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
So there was always dirty clothes. But now, to get a new washing machine, it's not going to wash in 30 minutes.
No.
It's going to take an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why, because it's all in a big bucket of water and it's all swishing around. But mine now, you have to put things in there, and then it turns on, and it wiggles in the bottom. Mm-hmm. And then it cuts off, and it wiggles a little more. A little more water goes on there, and it wiggles a little more.
Uh-huh.
Because it's trying to get everything perfectly balanced before it starts slinging it around in there.
And unbalancing it all again.
Yeah, that's right.
Man, that's, we are just protected to death.
I know. And then don't even get me started on preheating your stove. It takes 30 minutes to get 400 degrees on your stove.
We don't want to go there.
Yeah,
we don't want to go there.
Anyway.
Another text coming in. Let's see what this one said. Are y'all convinced the old days were just better? No offense to the new days. Yes, I am.
Many ways they were better. Yeah. They were more efficient, and we had less scientists and people with white coats.
True.
I mean,
didn't have
it's kind of like
television.
news. It's kind of like news people. As long as you had Walter Cronkite, you knew all you needed to know.
Yep.
But now the facts are irrelevant because there's so many of them. They just want to see which one of them lies the most to get the most ratings.
That's true. And
that's the way it is with scientists. And well, I take that back. I'm not going to abuse scientists. I'm going to say people that try to make things newer and better to justify their existence.
Yeah, that's job justification. That's
job justification.
Yeah, but honestly, Texter, things did seem to be a whole lot easier back in those days. In one way, we got the internet. We can talk to each other instantly, no matter where we are in the world anymore. All that stuff is good, but if you look at all the stuff, and I use the word stuff with quotes around it because I can't say the real word, that's out there on these social medias and everything, is it that good after all? So I don't know.
How many white coats would it take to strike a match to a Frito?
None, because they wouldn't do it because it's not in the book.
Well,
hey, does it say on the package can be used to start a grill? No, it does not. Another texter says, Les, don't forget Paul Harvey. Good day.
That's right.
Yep.
Best guy. Oh, I love to listen to him. Was it
12:30
every day?
I think that was where it was.
That he came on?
Yeah, I think it was actually on WTJS when it was an AM station back in those days.
Here's the rest of the story.
Here's the rest of the story. That's right. Good day.
That's right.
Thank you, Texter. That brings back a nice blast from the past. We appreciate that. You're listening to John Allen on Tricks of the Trade. The phone number, if you'd like to talk to us, 731-891-6161. Obviously, the text line is working quite well today, 410-7560. Right now, if you'll flip over on Facebook, if you want to see how the sausage is made, Facebook Live, y'all.com, or News Talk West Tennessee, or News Talk Jackson, and you can see what is going on. We're going to take about a 1.5-minute break, and we'll be right back here with Tricks of the Trade.
Look, it's a great question, and maybe the typical family saves $500 a month switching to MediShare. But does it work? That's what Catherine was wondering when her family of 5 made the switch, and then she was diagnosed with an advanced cancer.
Just the surgeon's bill was been prayed for, and there were just no problems at all. I mean, we just have not had any problems.
Her need was met, and MediShare is a community of Christians who've now shared more than $4 billion of each other's healthcare bills. So many people are joining now, wondering, why didn't we do this sooner? Catherine says her family has saved so much over the years.
The savings have been thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
So yes, it works. Find out how much you can save. It's easy. You can call now and get a price within 2 minutes. Here's the number, 844-57-BIBLE. That's 844-57-BIBLE, 844-57-BIBLE.
This is WTJS, Alamo, Jackson, and WKBL, Covington, News Talk West Tennessee.
Nashville's best variety show, The Token Show, is coming to Freed Hardeman University Friday, December 4th. As seen at the Ryman, the Token Show will bring you comedy, world-class vocalists, and Nashville's best session players before you hear from star of film and television Gary Sinise. Be part of this one-of-a-kind holiday experience at the FHU Benefit Dinner. Visit fhu.edu for tickets and sponsorships.
The Trade on a Saturday morning, 93.1, the spot on your dial, y'all.com on Facebook Live right now. And it's John Allen, so give us a call at 731-891-6161. John will jump right in and answer your question, or text us at 731-410-7560. That is the Victory Honda text line. Now, I wanted to ask you something. We would go back to the faucets for a minute or two.
Okay.
Because I asked this question because I know you have an answer to it.
Okay.
Like you don't have an answer to everything else, but this
does it have to be the right one?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
But it's the one I'm expecting. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Anyway,
here we go.
You said when the water's been off for a while, or you put in a new fixture, take the little screen off.
Yes.
And let the water blow hard.
Yep.
And to get all the sediment out of that. Otherwise, it's going to be trapped in the screen, and you're not going to get water pressure.
That's right.
All right. Here's the thing you're going to hear from most people, though. Well, if I try to take that screen out of there, I'm going to scratch that fixture up. It's brand new. How do I get that screen out of there without scratching the fixture up?
A Band-Aid and a pair of pliers.
That's
now,
what I thought.
Here's the deal. Now, people laugh at me over this. Band-Aids are not just for wounds.
Yeah.
But if you'll take a Band-Aid and wrap it around that little aerator, and then take your channel lock pliers and grip down on it gently, and then back it off, you can unscrew it without messing up the finish. Now, if you don't have a Band-Aid, a piece of toilet paper will do the same thing,
right? Or
a piece of electrical tape if you got one like that. But the idea is to put a barrier between the metal jaws of that plier and that brand new silver, gold, brushed nickel, whatever it is, finish you've got on there. You don't want to scratch it. So do that. And if you go to grab it with a pair of pliers, you see somebody go to grab it, just stop them, because it doesn't have to scoot. Just the grip of the jaws of that thing will mess one up. So that would be an expensive boo-boo.
Yes, it would. Yes,
yeah,
it would.
but
I remembered that trick of the trade that you taught me years and years and years ago. And I remember somebody, may have been my father-in-law, who knew that trick of the trade also, but he would take a Band-Aid and put a small Band-Aid and put it around each side of the pliers.
You walked out to my truck right now, you'll see one set of yellow-handled channel locks that have actually I got a Band-Aid on one side and a piece of black electrical tape on the other one, because I ran out of Band-Aids. But it works.
Do you prefer the Band-Aid brand or the Scooby-Doo?
Well, I use the Scooby-Doo for special places.
Okay, a texter says, Sunday lunch on the old farmhouse front porch with a bucket of KFC and a lot of painting to do. No internet, no fancy, just the family, the ladder, the brush, and the paint.
That's right.
Relaxing.
That's right.
We wax.
And you got to have a do-rag hanging out your back pocket.
Yep.
Because sometimes you let that brush slip because you got too much grease on your fingers from the chicken leg.
Yeah, that's true.
So you got to wipe it off every now and then. Whoever that was just painted a scenario I remember well.
The guy is good. The guy or lady is doing well.
That's right. Yeah.
You talk about another one of those things. I get these weird things triggered in my mind that I've seen 100 years ago, and you'll say something or somebody will text something, and it reminds me of that. Laverne and Shirley. You remember that show?
I do.
There was one episode where Richie Cunningham had gotten a date with Laverne. No, Shirley, because Fonz had set him up, and they were going to double date. And Richie comes in. Of course, the Fonz there in his T-shirt and his leather jacket. Richie comes in a suit and tie with a what we call a pocket square now, but back in those days it was a handkerchief.
That's right.
Folded up and stuck in there, and it was in there. And Laverne looks at him and says, "Oh, look, Shirley, classy." And she looks at Richie and says, Hey, kid, is that for showing or for blowing? I don't know why I remembered that, but I do.
Yeah.
Can't remember the way home, but I can remember that.
That's all right. And another thing, Sunday, when you got through with your eating, of course, everybody back then had what they call an oilcloth tablecloth.
Yep.
And then you had a sheet that you would throw over the table when you got done to keep the flies off, because you ate that same thing for dinner, but you'd put a tablecloth over top of your food. Or at least it did at my house. Oh, yeah. That may be why I'm not right now.
Well, that's assuming you had some food left over.
That's right.
In my house, we rarely did.
Well, you never ran out of peas at my house.
Well,
that's black-eyed or purple hull
not
peas.
Not the green ones, no.
Yeah, leave the green ones off. They're BBs. I don't like them.
BB.
But yeah.
All right. Well, I took you off your track going back to the faucets.
I was on track.
And then our texter got us really thinking back in the good old days. A Schwinn Paperboy bicycle with no helmet. That was the rule of the day.
Oh man, absolutely no helmet.
Yeah.
He had a basket on the front, and if you were lucky,
saddlebags.
And a little boy, saddlebags, and baseball cards with clothespins on the back end to make a racket while you delivered that paper.
I don't care what you say. I still swear up and down that the stand mutuals were louder than the other ones.
Could have been. Could have been.
Oh Lord. Okay, now let's go back to things around the house. We got. I knew that's where you were going with the Band-Aids on the pliers. So I wanted to remind everybody that, because I have done that before. You know, you think you get in a hurry and you grab that thing, and the next thing you hear is that little crunching noise, and the flakes of your covering fall into the sink. Not good. Not good.
Yeah, and it always happens on one of them $250 faucets.
Yeah.
Won't do it on the cheap ones because they're plastic anyway, but they'll still scratch.
Yeah, they get all bent out of shape.
I learned something the other day that I didn't know.
Oh, you're kidding.
No. Yeah, well, you get used to doing things. Like, for instance, I've told people all along, if you get a little odor in your carpet, you can put a little baking soda on it.
Right.
And it'll help absorb things. Matter of fact, you buy this stuff that you can get into a bag or a can to sprinkle your carpet to keep your wet dog smell out of the room and all that stuff. Well, if you're using people, I guess this is why we have people in white coats, because some people will take one little something and do too much of it.
Yeah.
Like people will dump a whole bag of baking soda in their carpet just about. Prolonged use, I'm told, of baking soda in your carpet, just really baking soda like the Arm & Hammer stuff, will effectively hurt the backing of the carpet. Now, the reason that was brought to my attention was I went to pull a piece of carpet up the other day to put down some hardwood. And when I pulled it up, it looked like it snowed underneath that carpet. I never seen so much baking soda in all my life. We had to vacuum the floor. But the baking soda will disintegrate the backing of old jute back carpets. It doesn't hurt this synthetic back too much, but the old type carpet that was like a burlap bag on the backside of it will break that down a little bit. And it also is not good for your vacuum cleaner because it messes up the bearings in your vacuum cleaner. And these new fang-dangled vacuum cleaners you have now, it'll clog the filters up in them and cause you to burn a motor out. So if you are one of those out there that like to use baking soda to get rid of the odor in your carpet, switch over to some of the stuff in the can that's a little more finely ground, and it'll eliminate the possibility of tearing all this other stuff up, because real baking soda is a little coarse, and it has a tendency to cause a little problems on down the line. But a little bit will do it, but a lot you just don't need. But people kind of live in excess right now.
Well, I think you find that in a lot of things, don't you? I mean, you see it. If a little bit of caulk's good, a little bit more is better. If a little bit of baking soda is good, the whole box ought to just cure the whole situation.
Exactly.
And cure grandma's cough too at the same time. So you're right. We do live in a world of excess, don't we?
Well, I find this, and this is a little project people like to do on the weekends. You're pulling up carpet. Of course, carpet's one of these things now that it's going out of style.
Right.
It'll come back later, but right now everybody's going to hardwood. So here they go. They go to pull up the carpet, and they're getting ready to put down hardwood. And next thing they got to do, besides vacuum the floor, is they take up all these little tack strips around the sides, and do that quick before Junior comes running in there in his bare feet and gets to squalling because he's pricked his feet all up and anyway, you know the picture.
I do, yes.
Okay.
I've been the picture.
So I get asked this question a lot, and people that go out and buy this thin hardwood, that's like 3/8 of an inch thick, and they say, well, do I get the real wood, or do I get the pergo, they call it, which is the laminate? And I said, I always go with the real stuff. The pergo product, it may have its place in the world, but I don't like it. I just don't like it because it scratches. And if you've got a big old hound dog runs through the house, first time he goes through the house, you'll see where he's been because he scratches the floor all up. So people will go out and they'll buy the hardwood. So the question becomes, how do I put it down? And you got three choices. You can nail it down, you can glue it down, or you can float it. And how do you know which one to use? Well, a lot of that has to do with the type of underlayment you have that's under that carpet that you're going to put it on top of it. And that situation would be like if you got bedrooms and things of that nature where there's not much chance of getting water in there.
Right.
And it's particle board, it's okay to put it down on top of it, although manufacturers will void your warranty if you're putting it down over top of particle board, kind of like vinyl floor cover.
Right.
So look at your situation, and if you're in a wet area and let's say it's in the kitchen or it's in the bathroom, don't put it down on top of particle board. Take it up and put plywood down.
The reason being what?
Well, if the particle board gets wet, it's going to swell, it's going to heave, and it's going to mess up a perfectly good hardwood floor.
Right.
So that's why you don't do that, because you will have spent a lot of money on the hardwood, and an improper substrate will just mess everything up. So advantages of nailing it down. Well, if you're nailing on wood or plywood, and it's a 3/4 inch board, it's best to nail it down. But this thin stuff, you can break the tongue off real easy if you try to nail it down with an automatic nailer.
Right.
Or if you try it by hand, it's practically impossible without putting those little hammer marks, we call them little mule marks, in the edge of the wood. But then you got gluing it down, which is probably the best thing, but glue's kind of expensive. But you have to use a certain kind of trowel to put the mastic down so you don't get too much or too little. And you spread it out with the proper trowel marks and then lay the adhesive in it, and just one right after the other, stick them together.
Right.
Floating, that's the new thing now. It's possible to float a thin hardwood floor that's tongue and groove, but you have to glue the tongue and grooves together, which, if you're not careful, gets a little messy. You got to have that rag in your back pocket we was talking about a little while ago to wipe up the excess. But you can go out and buy this little bitty underlayment pad. It's about 1/8 of an inch thick. Comes in a roll, kind of expensive, but you can roll it out just like putting a pad under a carpet. And then put your hardwood on top of it. If you're going to float a floor, it's best to get the kind of hardwood that's snap lock. They actually grab a hold of one another, and you don't have to glue it.
Yeah.
Biggest mistake I see, though, in people putting down these floors is not leaving room for expansion around the perimeter of the room. That wood floor is going to constantly be moving. And you can't pin it down, or if it gets high humidity, it'll just kind of heave up and lift up off the floor.
Yeah.
And the same thing goes for these tiles they have out now that are interlocking floating floors, and they constantly have to move in order to stay put, or you'll have a big bubble in the middle of your room.
Yeah.
So, give that a try, and if you're going to try one of these little projects on the weekend, look at your circumstance and kind of think it through before you decide which one you want to go with. And go from there.
If I'm doing a floating floor where I don't have to glue and nail and do all that stuff, and I think I'm gonna do it by myself, okay?
Okay.
Do I start at the walls and work out, or do I start in the middle of the room and work toward the walls?
It really doesn't make any difference as long as you stay in a straight line. That's the biggest problem people have with the floating floors is they have a tendency to scoot a little bit.
Yeah.
So I like to, when you're kneeling down and putting this on, you want to be kneeling on the part you've already put down to kind of hold it in place and then snap lock it together. But ever so often, stand up and get back and look at it to where you're looking down the line of what you've done, and make sure you don't have a little bow in it, because if you do, it's time to adjust. And you need to do that about every 3 feet or so.
Okay.
Because once you get off just a little bit, it just amplifies as you go across the room.
Okay.
Now, the instruction manuals,
yes,
nobody reads that. But anyway, they tell you to start in the center and work both ways. Now, the reason they're telling you that is they want you to have an equal margin on each side of the room.
Right.
And that makes sense, but what's normally on each side of the room is your furniture, and it covers it up.
Right.
So if I've got a 1-inch board on one side and a 2-inch board on the other, to me that's not that big a deal.
Nobody's going to know it.
Yeah. But if you have to be proper with all this stuff, you can do that. But, put down a floor yesterday, for instance.
Yep.
We started, one guy in one room started in the middle because it had a lot of cuts and all around it. And in another room we started on the side. It was a smaller room. It was about a 10 by 10.
Yeah.
And so it just matter on what your skill level is.
Yeah.
Main thing is just to keep everything straight, and don't be beating and banging on it while you're putting it down to where you're scooting it.
Right.
Because it'll be a big mess, and you'll end up having to come take it apart again.
Okay. Let me run another scenario by you. We got a manufactured floor.
Okay.
We're going to put that hardwood down, and we're going to glue it because it's a slab.
Okay.
Okay. Now, 6 months later, a year later, here comes a new puppy into the house, and he makes a big mistake while you're not home, and you can't get it mopped up quick enough, and it ruins the finish on maybe 3 or 4 boards there.
Mm-hmm.
How do you fix that?
Well, when you put that floor down originally, hopefully you kept some of it.
Yeah.
Your scraps and all of that. So then what you have to do is take a skill saw, and even though it's on a concrete slab, you'll set the depth of that blade to the thickness of that wood.
Right.
And you will score that plank right in the middle. Say you got a 5-inch board, for instance.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of that board, just rip it right down the middle, and then you're going to have to literally chisel it out. And you'll chisel that out. You will scrape up the residue of the old mastic, the glue that you've put down, and then you'll get another board that hopefully you've gotten one that matches in length of that one.
Right.
Then you'll take your skill saw again, and you'll cut the bottom of the groove off. You got your tongue and you got your groove.
Right.
Cut off the bottom of the groove on the bottom side of the plank. And then when you go to put it in, you'll put the tongue in first, and then drop the back side, and it'll lay right in place.
Ah.
And with the mastic you've put down, it'll, you might want to get you an old set of encyclopedias and lay on top of it to where that's the only thing they're good for nowadays.
Squish it a little bit. Yeah, that's true.
To hold it down in place. But if you'll drop that down there for 8 or 10 hours till the glue sets up and take it up, it'll look like it grew there.
Huh. Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
Texter says, if you get the cheap laminate with enough wear, the finish will come right off.
It will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's it. I just stay away from that stuff. It's just no good.
Yeah, a friend of mine was going to do that in some wet areas at their house, and they were going to use the P word, and I said you might want to reconsider that, and they did, and they're glad they did. So, yeah, that's not good. Tricks of the trade is where we are. John Allen on a Saturday morning. We got about 5 minutes left in the show today. Still got time for a couple of texts or maybe a phone call or two. 731-891-6161 or the text line, the Victory Honda text line, 731-410-7560. And all you have to do is ask, and our texters are right there. We sold all of our encyclopedias. I found out my wife knows everything. We'll keep your phone number confidential, texters.
Oh, yes.
I like it.
Oh, wow.
John's got that look on his face like, I won't believe I told that. Oh, man. That's funny. That's good. That's the same texter, by the way, that looked down when you talked about navel jelly.
Oh, well.
Yeah, and everything was good.
Everything was good.
Yeah.
Now, a sophisticated type can use a paper clip.
Ooh,
You
got to have good hands now.
Yeah, that's right. It don't hurt some.
Poke a hole in that thing and let all the air out.
That's right. you don't deflate if you use a paper clip.
That's true. That's true. What can we inform folks about in about a 4-minute time span?
Well, got into a little project the other day where we pulled wallpaper off a wall.
Uh-huh.
And they were tired of the wallpaper, kind of ugly looking, and went to pull it off, and it pulled right off. It was vinyl wallpaper.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, the wall had not been sized under it, and they pulled it right off. Went to painting it, and oh my goodness, it looked awful. Looked like somebody had thrown half of the beach on the wall. It was just sandy and gritty looking.
Glue residue?
Yeah, it was the glue residue. So I want to tell folks that might be stripping wallpaper off, what you may have to do sometimes is you'll pull it off and then lightly sand it. Just some fine grit paper, go over it and sand it down. Now sometimes you have to wet it just a little bit for that glue to soften up a little bit if you didn't get it all sanded off. But once you do that, then go in there and put you a good primer on there and then paint it, and that'll take care of the problem and save you a lot of heartache, because if you paint it first, coming back in and prepping it and sand it, there's not much you can do, and you'll end up having to go over it with a layer of sheetrock mud to get it right.
Got one more text. We got time for this one. Excuse me. I have to replace some toilet parts, and I've got to cut my water off outside at the main. Do I need anything when I cut the water back on? Do I need to do anything when I cut the water back on? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
You got to put all the words in there to make it work. Don't you?
Yeah. Well, no, not really. Now, it's good to go off and when you're doing something like that, working on your toilet, to cut it off at the main, because here's something I learned many years ago from an old plumber, a good friend of mine, Bill Hammonds.
Oh yes.
And he says, John, if you reach down there and use that cutoff under the toilet to work on that toilet, I guarantee you'll have a call back. I said, what do you mean, Mr. Bill? He says, well, you'll go turn that cutoff off, and when you turn it back on, it's going to start leaking. I guarantee it every time. And you'll have to replace it at your expense. So if you don't have to use those cutoffs, don't, because they sit there for years and years and years and have never been turned.
True.
And when you do that, they'll start leaking. So, if the person sending the text, if he uses the cutoff at the street, you'll be fine. If you're changing out the parts in that toilet, that say he puts what's called a fluid master back in, if he had galvanized pipes, you might get a little sediment in there, but chances are you won't. They are a little more sensitive than the old ball cocks. It's got the bulb and the arm in there that you bend it to make your water level right, But no, that's really all you got to do. Hook it up and let her fly.
All right. That was easy enough.
Oh, make sure you put your little hose in there. That little hose that comes out of the top of it, make sure you stick it down in the little fill drain. Otherwise, you'll have water flying out from under the toilet lid.
That's right. You'll be washing the walls and the floors at the same time. Absolutely. I hear music. But there's no one there.
It means I got to shut up and get out of here.
I guess that's what it means, and we'll do that again, same thing, next Saturday morning at about 8 o'clock on Tricks of the Trade with John Allen. And your phone calls and texts will be welcome then, as they were today. Thanks to all of our texters, and apologize for the glitch on the front end. We'll keep that from happening next week also. Jimmy Leach, The Investigators, coming up next here on 93.1. Join us again next Saturday.
Goodbye, everybody.